Hey guys, now that we've learned a little bit about Kandinsky, we're going to do a Kandinsky-inspired art project. So this is what the art project is going to look similar to. And for this, you're going to need circle stencils if you have them. If not, you can use cups, bowls, lids, anything that gives you a variety of sizes. Okay, we're going to mostly focus with these, and this one's just for help, and we'll get to that later. And then you also need a ultra fine point Sharpie. That's where it's black on the top and the bottom, a regular Sharpie. And then if you don't have those, you can also use regular markers, skinny. You'll need a skinny marker. If you don't have a skinny marker, a black pen will work just fine also, okay? And then for today, you're gonna also need just some scrap paper. Okay, so recently we've been working with color and different types of color theory things. So for this project, we're gonna continue on with our color. So you're going to get to use primary colors, which are red, yellow, and blue. You could also potentially use secondary colors, which are purple, green, and orange. You can also use complementary colors. Now remember, those are across from each other on the color wheel, so you can do like red or green, you can do blue and orange, or you can do yellow and purple. You can also do neutral colors, which are not on the color wheel. So those are browns, grays, and blacks. You can do warm colors, and then you can do cool colors. You can also do what's called analogous colors. So these are 3 to 5 colors next to each other on the color wheel, but we'll just be focusing on 3. So say you wanted to do red, violet, and violet. You could do those. Or you could do red, violet, and blue. So any 3 that are next to each other on the color wheel works great, okay? All right, so to start with this project, on our final piece of paper, so my final piece of paper is up here, we're gonna end up having a total of 5 circles drawn out because these are going to become our actual flowers, and we're going to want them to vary in size. You're going to want one, kind of bigger, and then you're going to want, some smaller ones also mixed in. So here it would be like my 5. Now we'll get to this step in a little bit, but I just wanted you to realize that it's going to have a total of 5 circles drawn on here, and each one of these is going to become a flower. Now these circles are going to be the interior part of your flower. So let me show you that one more time. So this is, your project, and these circles are the ones that we're going to draw, and these are the inside. So our flowers will be on the exterior of these circles. Sometimes kids get that confused. So to start with this, I'm going to show you that we're going to practice our flowers, okay? And the biggest thing is that we want to make sure that we are making ours perfectly symmetrical. So when you see flowers in nature, what's nice about them is that they're always the same, okay? All the petals are the same, they look the same, they're the same size. So we have to mimic that idea. So I'm going to show you guys a few tips and tricks to that. And I also want to explain to you that when you draw this flower, you cannot have 4 petals. You can have 5 and more. So I'm going to show you how to simply do that as well. So I'm going to put my circle right here. Now again, this is just practice, okay? So I'm going to take my first circle and I'm going to draw a straw around it, okay? Now, I need to make to where I have petals on this. So I'm going to draw super, super light, okay? So I'm gonna just draw inward like this. I'm gonna cut this sucker in half like that. And I'm gonna cut it in half again. So this is gonna become quarters, okay? So half vertical and half horizontal. So now I have 4 quarters, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now our flower can't have 4 petals, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate these in half as well, so this is going to become 8s. So I'm going to find my center, and you can always, measure with your fingers if you need to be. And you can go straight across like this, and you're going to do the same thing on this side as well. Now again, as close as you can. Now, you should have extra circles around, and you can use those for your outer part. So I'm going to explain that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to center this the best I can, okay, around my other circle, and you can just, check it and make sure it's good. Now, if you're using a plate or something, obviously you're not going to be able to see through it, but you'll be able to draw and move it around as needed, okay? Now, I'm going to draw this circle, but I'm going to draw this super, super light because I know eventually I'm going to erase it, okay? Now, when you're drawing on your final copy paper, you need to realize that a lot of the things you're drawing are going to be erased, so you don't want to push really hard. So what I'm going to do is in between this is going to be 1 petal. I'm going to find the center. I'm going to go from here and I'm going to draw straight out invisibly, and then I'm going to put a little dot like this. I'm going to come to the next one. I'm going to find its center, and I'm going to come straight out, put another little dot like this. Center, straight out. I'm going to repeat this all the way around. Now, This seems really tedious, but in the long run, it's gonna save you a ton of time, okay? Because the likelihood of you messing up is gonna be much, much less than if you're just like, go out drawing it, okay? So this is the basis of my flower. Now from here, I'm going to decide, do I want round petals? Do I want kind of pointed petals? And I'm gonna go with more of a pointed petal, okay? So I'm gonna go for my point down here, and I'm gonna curve my petal around, and it's gonna come up to this dot. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on this side, okay? And then I'm just gonna repeat this for every one of these. So I'm gonna go from here and come around and to this dot like this. I'm gonna do this all the way around. All right, and then when you're done, you should have a flower. Now look, the flower looks relatively close. Now again, it's not perfect, and that's okay. We want it just to be as close as possible. And then if you wanted to, you could always add, more petals in between. So I could potentially go from here, and I could add an extra if I wanted to, and I could do this all the way around. But again, this is just practice, okay? So then what I would like you to do is, try this a few different times. Try different ways, try to get different petals on here. So I'm gonna go with this one. So I'm gonna put my circle on here and go all the way around. Now, I'm gonna do the same thing. I really like having this bigger stencil. It seems to save a lot of time. Now this one's gonna have really long petals, which is always kind of fun to do. But when you do really long petals, you want to have a lot of them. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna split this in half, okay? And then in quarters. And then I'm actually gonna split this into 16ths. So I'm gonna go into 8ths again. Remember, it's just finding the halfway point, and then one in the middle also. Yep. All right. And then from here, you're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna find your center point, and you're gonna go all the way out and make yourself a dot. All right, then once you have all of your little dots, then you're just gonna do the same thing. You're gonna go from one point, come around, and then these ones are gonna be round and touch that dot. And then I'm gonna continue this all the way around. All right, and then you have some flowers. So you're just gonna do this and kind of practice different ideas, and get better at making sure that they're all spaced out, that they're all relatively the same size. So those things are gonna be really important when you move on to your final steps, okay?